Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you with the WWE Hell in a Cell 2016 chat. Honestly, I went into this show thinking that it was not going to be a very good show. I can honestly tell you that it lived up to my expectations of being a not so great pay-per-view. Honestly, there was a lot of distractions tonight with the Cowboys and Eagles playing on NBC. You've got the Cubs and Indians, which honestly is a thing that I have not checked up on as of late. As I am talking, I'm actually looking up right now to make sure that the Cubs still have the lead 3-2, and we're still believing that we're going to get a Game 6 in Cleveland. It seems like they're just coming out of into the 8th inning now. Is the live thing as the pay-per-view has now ended. But honestly, 2 of the 3 Hell in the Cell matches themselves sucked. I did not like the United States Championship or the Universal Championship Hell in the Cell matches. I thought that both of them fell pretty flat and didn't really live up to anything. All of the mid-card matches just weren't really there. You had a cruiserweight title change, which I don't really know what that brings for the cruiserweight division since it's so new. I thought they would be sort of branding T.J. Perkins as their guy. Seems they're going in to do a different direction, but maybe T.J. Perkins comes back and beats Kendrick in a month, and that's something that stamps him as a star of that division. But there's a lot of other guys, Tony Nese, Cedric Alexander, Swan, all of those guys, they could move up. I did not watch the pre-show due to the fact that I was finishing the Falcons beating the Packers game. The Falcons won that game, didn't they? I'm pretty sure they did. But that was all the cruiserweights. They had a 6-man. From there, the show opened with Roman Reigns going up against Rusev. This was a very long match. I didn't think that if it was me, I would have gone with a very fast pace. Just both guys beating the hell out of each other like WrestleMania 7 with Warlord going up against the British Bulldog. But they just sort of did this thing where they just sort of beat up everybody for a while. They teased the table spot. They had some chairs in there. They had the ring steps. This, that, or the other. But even though Rusev beat the hell out of Roman Reigns hit the spear out of nowhere. He got the 1, 2, 3. Hopefully this is the end of this feud because I've never really been a big fan. I don't know who on Raw can step up to be a credible contender to go up against Roman Reigns for that mid-card United States Championship, but hopefully somebody will get that belt off him sooner than later. From there, we went to Dana Brooke versus Bayley. Bayley won clean with the belly-to-belly, and she was able to move on from there. We had Enzo Amore and Big Cass come out. They got beat by Luke Gallows and Machine Gun Carl Anderson. Real long monologue by Enzo and Kaz. I thought it honestly went way longer than it was supposed to. Maybe if I was from Boston or maybe if I was in Boston, I would have popped for all the references to Big Papi. And I think they did Larry Bird and a whole bunch of other things. But finally, Anderson and Gallows, WWE has got the message to get these guys over, and to get them over, they have to win matches. Anderson and Gallows were able to hit the Magic Killer on Enzo. I don't know if that means that they will be moving on and going after the Tag Team Championships. It seems like they might be going with Cesaro and Sheamus, going after the New Day after their disqualification victory. But maybe they get thrown into there, or maybe they just keep going against Enzo and Kaz. I'm not sure. Enzo and Kaz beat the holy hell out of Gallows and Anderson for the last few weeks. So for them to get a win here, to me, was more of a surprise more than anything else. After Kevin Owens sprayed Seth Rollins with the fire extinguisher, he was able. He tried to spray the fire extinguisher at Seth Rollins, but Rollins was able to get out of the way. It took a shot right into the face of the referee, which made them open the cell to get him out. Jericho came running in. From there, it was a 2-on-1 match. Rollins did have some chances to win the match, but since it's 2-on-1, Jericho either pulled the referee out of the ring or broke up the pin. One thing led to another. Even after a double table spot by Rollins, to Kevin Owens. Owens was able to hit his power bomb on top of two chairs that were set up inside of the ring, and Owens was able to get the 1-2-3. To add insult to injury, we had Jericho hit Rollins with the code breaker. I thought this was a spot because Kevin Owens had left the cell and left his friend behind, that Rollins was able to get the one-ups on Jericho and still look good, but he got laid out by both guys. I'm not sure if this is them having to team up at the Survivor Series as a part of Team Raw, and all three of these guys get along. I'm not sure where they're going from this, but it doesn't look like there's going to be a Universal Championship match at Survivor Series. And then from there we go to T.J. Perkins and Brian Kendrick. Brian Kendrick faked a knee injury, which T.J. Perkins, who had been his friend, his mentor, and everything in his life, T.J. Perkins went to check on Brian Kendrick. Kendrick headbutted him and then put him in the Captain Hook. TJP tapped out, and Brian Kendrick became the Cruiserweight Champion. Sheamus and Cesaro seemed like they were in the driver's seat to be the New Day for the Tag Team Championships. Cesaro had a finisher. He had a submission locked in on, I believe, Xavier Woods. And on the outside, Sheamus, who was fighting around with Big E and Kofi. Kofi ran over and he kicked Sheamus after Sheamus hit Big E in the back with the trumpet. From there, Cesaro thought he had the victory, that Xavier Woods had tapped out. But because the ref saw the kick on the outside, Sheamus and Cesaro were awarded the victory due to disqualification, which means they did not get to keep the championships. They did not get to keep the titles. And they have to live to fight another day as a team, and they're going to be torn even more as they are right now. And then in the main event, Sasha Banks and Charlotte, in my opinion, the match of the night. They really deserved to go on last. There was a lot of people were going to say that it was the wrong decision. A lot of people were going to say it was a great decision and they should have been promoting it this way all along. Charlotte attacked Sasha Banks early on in the match before the cell was lowered. During the introductions, there was a powerbomb spot to Sasha Banks where Sasha got laid out. They had to bring out EMTs. It made it look like the match was not going to happen. But then as they were announcing that Sasha Banks was forfeiting the match and she was going to have to be giving up the Women's Championship to Charlotte, she was getting off of the EMT cart when the EMTs tried to calm her back down. She started fighting the EMTs. She went into the cell and the referee was able to start the match, not giving the belt to Charlotte. They went on. They had a great fight involving chairs and tables and the ring steps as well. One hell of a match. They beat the hell out of each other. And Charlotte was able to get the victory. She is the new women's champion yet again. It looked like that she had her number in the match. It looked like she was the better competitor, but Sasha played the ultimate underdog. I'm not sure if they fight again in just a normal match to clear their feud, or if they go off in different directions. Bayley has beat the daylights out of Dana Brooke the last 2 times. Bayley versus Charlotte, I don't think she's going to win. Would be a good series of matches, though. So we'll see what's going down. That was Hell in the Cell. We'll see what goes on with Monday Night Raw. And I'll see you guys down the road. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you with live, continuous coverage of WWE's Hell in the Cell 2016. Opening up with Rusev going up against Roman Reigns. I'm entertaining myself here in the front room. It's going to be a big day. I've been sitting here for a while, watched the last of the football games. After I got off, I'm eating chicken strips. I've got a container of some goldfish crackers here, the multicolored ones. And then I made myself a coffee shake here to sort of get through this. I will honestly tell you that if you watched my prediction video, Hell in the Cell is a show that I'm really not looking forward to. There's not really any matches that really get me into this. Roman Reigns versus Rusev, to me, honestly, wasn't a very good opener. They went with the Hell in the Cell match right off of the bat. I honestly forgot that this feud started over Roman Reigns breaking up the marriage ceremony of Lana and Rusev on Monday Night Raw. It seems like that happened months and months ago before SummerSlam. I can't remember if there was an injury or something that sort of interrupted it, but honestly, the beginning of August seems like forever ago. But honestly, they get inside of the cell. Lana introduces Rusev. Rusev comes down. Roman Reigns comes down second. Very slow, methodical, just sort of moving around the ring sort of match. Rusev takes an early bump into the cell early on. They did go on to the outside and throw each other into the cell. Rusev was using his body weight, throwing himself into Roman Reigns, sort of crushing him against the cell. The match honestly wasn't that good. I worked 5-2 because of last night's World Series game. I think I went to sleep around midnight. So at the most, I got 4 hours of sleep if I fell asleep the second I went to bed. And, I don't think I'm going to make it through this whole show. I honestly didn't make it through that match. But in the match, Roman Reigns, hinted at bringing out a table very early on in the match. The crowd chanting, "We want tables, we want tables." But the ring steps ended up being a big part of the match. One of the cool spots during the match was when Roman Reigns set the ring steps inside of the ring and put them on top of the top turnbuckle, and then through a reversal through Rusev into the steps when he just ate it face first. And it looked like that was going to be the end of the match. From there, we got a kendo stick that was brought into the ring. Rusev was able to tie Rusev was able to tie Roman Reigns up into the ring, and he was able to just get continuous shots into the bulletproof vest of Roman Reigns, just beating it into him, and basically making him humble. But as Rusev was hitting him, he broke the kendo stick. The kendo stick was then smashed over his knee like he was freaking Bo Jackson, and from there, Rusev was able to grab a chain. He was able to hit Roman Reigns with the chain and just sort of beat it into him and to the point of, we got to see the big, huge comeback of Roman Reigns when he hit the giant spear. From there, he got the 1, 2, 3. He posed on top of the ring steps that were inside of the ring, and he is still United States champion. Where you go from here with this, I've got no clue, but hopefully Roman Reigns versus Rusev is over and done with. Boo! Boo! That match was a stinker. That match sucked. It had one really, really cool spot involved in it, but man, that's some bullshit right there. There's one good reason why the chicks are main eventing the Hell in the Cell show, and that basically is because the last 2 Hell in the Cell matches has sucked. Since we've last talked here with the Roman Reigns versus Rusev match, which was won by Roman Reigns, we had a match between Bayley and Dana Brooke. Nothing big in that match at all, but Bayley gets the win over Dana. We had, I guess you can say, an upset victory with the club getting the win over Enzo and Kaz. I guess they now really have the tag team division put on notice. We'll have to see what goes on with the tag team not main event, but title match, which should be coming up soon. But Owens versus Rollins, Hell in the Cell really didn't deliver in my mind, not at all. When it comes down to it, you had a really cool spot where you had Kevin Owens build a sort of pyramid of tables against the Cell, which was used against him. Seth Rollins picked him up and threw Kevin Owens through the 2 tables built up on the side. But during the match, Kevin Owens grabbed a fire extinguisher from underneath the ring, went to spray Seth Rollins, but ended up spraying the referee. Due to this, the outside referee opened the Hell in the Cell door, and an outside referee came in to check on that referee. From there, Y2J, Chris Jericho, came running down, jumped into the cell. He was able to lock the cell, and from there on out, it was a 2-on-1 advantage. And it wasn't just lock, stock, and barrel, just, the heels getting the job done. Seth Rollins was able to have some comeback spots in this, even with Jericho in there. But when you have two guys in there, it's easy for somebody to break up a pinfall attempt by Seth Rollins and try for somebody to get the win is just impossible. The heels overpowered him. Chris Jericho jumped in the ring and just started beating on Seth Rollins. From there, Kevin Owens grabbed a chair, came in, he beat Seth Rollins with the chair, then setting up two chairs side by side in the ring, and then doing the power bomb through the two chairs, was able to get the 1, 2, 3. They were able to get the win. Wasn't that good of a match. From there, Kevin Owens basically took his belt and he walked off to celebrate his victory. Chris Jericho stayed in the ring and waited for Seth Rollins to get up. I thought that maybe Seth Rollins would have a babyface fire up and be able to at least beat up Jericho in the ring, but we had him knocked down into the ring, and Jericho got his moment standing over Seth Rollins. Now from here, it seems like Owens and Jericho will be headlining the Raw team going up against the SmackDown team at Survivor Series. So does that mean there's no Universal Championship match? And does that mean these two have to team with Seth Rollins in order to have the best Team Raw going into Survivor Series? So those are the questions that we'll have to answer as we go on. We'll see what goes on with the rest of the show. I'm trying to see what's going on with the Cubs and the Indians. 1-0 over there. Indians got the early lead on a home run. We need a win, Cubs. Let's go. Surprise, surprise, out of nowhere, we've got a new Cruiserweight champion. I thought that, honestly, the storyline of Brian Kendrick telling T.J. Perkins that he needed to let him win at Hell in a Cell was a little bit out of the middle of nowhere, but it is the story that they wanted to go with. It seems like the Monday night before a pay-per-view would be a weird time to sort of set this storyline, but it sort of does play into the whole TJ Perkins storyline of this is a guy who slept in his car, that was homeless. Brian Kendrick was a guy that mentored him to make sure that he achieved his dream of becoming a professional wrestler. They said that Brian Kendrick would pick him up from school and drive him to wrestling camp and make sure he'd get where he needed to be. And now here we are years later. Brian Kendrick, holding on to his last shot to be part of WWE, needed this Cruiserweight title for his family to be a part of WWE and for him to still have this part of the glory of WWE being there. Of course, this is the same storyline that went along with the Cruiserweight Classic with Brian Kendrick losing his match, and then Daniel Bryan leaving the announce booth, coming down to the ring, and embracing him because his friend had lost what was laid out to be his last match. But now here Brian Kendrick sits atop of the Cruiserweight division. Earlier on the pre-show, we had a 6-man match with Cedric Alexander, Tony Nese, Sin Cara, and a band full of other guys who I honestly don't know their names because I haven't learned them yet. But Brian Kendrick went for an early pinfall early in the match to see if T.J. Perkins was going to let him get the victory, and he did not. And from there, Brian Kendrick went to go do sliced bread number 2 over in the corner, and from there, it looked like Brian Kendrick had injured himself. You could really tell if you've been watching wrestling for a long time that it was not a real injury, that they were trying to play into your emotions, because if there was a real injury and they were going to check on Brian Kendrick, definitely you would have at least seen a medic hit the ring, or they just would have called for the match just to be over. But they ended up not doing that. The referee just checked on Brian Kendrick. Brian Kendrick kept on saying that he was ready to go. TJ Perkins came over to help Kendrick get up. And from there, we had, Kendrick hit a headbutt and then down on the floor hit the captain's hook. TJ Perkins tapped out, new Cruiserweight champion. From here, I'm hoping that Cedric Alexander is the next person to step up and get a title match. I'm guessing that TJ Perkins will get a rematch, but Rich Swann seems to be somebody who's really coming on and sort of jumping into WWE light. He really stole the pre-show, coming out and doing commentary for the Cruiserweight match. So we'll see what direction they go from here. There's got a lot of new guys, a lot of new characters. I thought that T.J. Perkins was going to be the guy to sort of have this division built around him, and for on his second pay-per-view with the championship to be stripped of it. Let's see. Maybe they're going in a different direction. All right. What a way to end the night. Sasha Banks versus Charlotte in the main event is what people debated and asked for weeks, for the women to be the main event of the WWE Hell in the Cell show. And they came out and they delivered. I think the match, honestly, was way better than I thought it was going to be. I honestly came into it with really low expectations, and it really lived up to Hell in the Cell of the PG era as being one of the best ones that we've seen in a long while. It definitely was the best Hell in the Cell match on the card today. It was better than the Universal Championship. It was better than the United States Championship. I think that the drama that got the match started off really set the pace for the match, with basically Charlotte coming down to the ring in her queen attire, much like, Macho Man Randy Savage would with the 4 jobbers carrying her down on her platform. Sasha Banks got the I guess you can say the Eddie Guerrero treatment. She came out in an SUV, surrounded by bodyguards. She emerged on the top, holding her championship up. She came down, got into the ring for the introductions, and as the cell was being lowered, was attacked by Charlotte. Charlotte threw her outside of the ring. I thought they were going to do a spot where the cell was going to come down on top of Sasha, and maybe they were going to crush her, but they were able to stop the cell. Charlotte came out. They were able to, get the match going on the outside, where they brawled into the crowd for a little bit. Then they came back around. They had a cool spot where Sasha was stuck on the cell as Charlotte came over and powerbombed her through the table. Definitely a spot that we've never seen in a women's match in WWE before. I can honestly say that, once they got into the cell and the match started going, even when they started using the chairs, which was much later in the match, even though it's in a Hell in the Cell match, there were girls in the ring. Sasha was very smart to break up the figure 8 with the chair, but when she hit her with the chair, I honestly saw the ref throw his hands up. I thought he was calling for the bell. I thought it was a disqualification. I forgot that there was no rules inside of the Hell in the Cell. But after the powerbomb spot, they brought up the fact that Sasha has had multiple back injuries throughout her career, and she was very weakened by this. They had to bring out the EMTs. Charlotte kept on yelling that, give her the belt, give her the belt. She wanted to win via forfeit. And that's basically what they had to do, was they had to get on the PA, and they had announced that Charlotte was going to be the new women's championship due to the referee saying the match was not going to be able to happen, and they were stripping Sasha and giving it to Charlotte. This got Sasha Banks basically to get off of the EMT cart. She even slapped one of the EMTs, getting inside of the cell to start the match because she did not want to lose that championship. That was a big gain of courage for her, but definitely Charlotte took the fight to her. Inside of the match, I honestly thought they played it up that Charlotte was better than Sasha, and she had her numbered this day. But Sasha played the ultimate underdog, finding ways to fight back and come back. I was very critical of them putting Charlotte and Sasha inside of Hell in the Cell. I didn't think that they'd be able to live up to it. Definitely, this was the match of the night. They definitely deserve to be in this main event slot. But now, how often do the girls get the main event shows? If we go a year from now and there has been no women's championship match in the main event slot of Raw or SmackDown or a pay-per-view, do we now look at the women's division as it's backsliding and it's not what it once was? They even played up this match like it was going to be the last battle between Sasha and Charlotte. Maybe they move on and go in a different direction. It's hard to see them come back for a normal fight after this fight in the cell. But honestly, it was a good way to end a bad show. Still, I think it's one of the worst shows. Maybe it's better than the 2010 Hell in the Cell show, but still a really bad Hell in the Cell show. So we'll see. I don't think this one's going to live up to the test of times. It's just going to be a dusty reminder on the WWE Network. So, peace out. See you guys down the road.